welcome to the newest episode of Tuesday Conversation with Friends, where you get to hear some amazing music and my chats with those incredible artists. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, to like this particular episode, and to get notification for future releases. The video format is on YouTube. If you prefer the audio-only format, you can find us on major podcast platforms. You will also be able to find social media links for myself as well as the guests on the show. So now see you inside the episode. Everyone, welcome to Tuesday Conversation with Friends. Today I'm with a wonderful pianist, author, composer, pedagogue, and many other things. We have Rami Bar-Niv. So Rami, so nice to have you. Rami, would you tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not really have been exposed to your great work yet?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I think you already said it all in the introduction. I'm a concert pianist. I play all over the world, not in the past year though. I'm a composer of concert music, as well as some Jewish and Israeli folk songs or modern songs type. And I'm a publisher. I'm a author. I wrote one professional book about piano playing, the art of piano fingering.
Right.
And then I wrote my autobiography.
Yes.
For my first 75 years.
You know, Rami, I would not have realized you would have had 75 years to write about, because you look so young and you're so youthful in your energy level. It's so wonderful. And I want to point out to those who don't know, and this is the wonder of the internet, because we're having this interview with me in the United States, and Rami is actually in Israel. And so you spend time both in Israel and the US. Also, going back a moment, the piece you heard in the beginning, besides the fantastic playing of Rami, he also was the arranger. That's Piazzolla's Libertango. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you began your whole life of music, where you were, as well as maybe a little bit about the piece of music we just heard?
Well, how I began?
Yes.
I was 5 years old when my older brother, took one day of piano lessons, proclaimed that piano was for girls, and quit. So I was next in line, and my mother was the teacher. My mother was a piano teacher. My brother continued though with the violin. That was my father who played the violin and taught him. But I started then at age 5 the piano, and it was a long journey.
Yeah.
But music ever since was music and piano was my whole life. Everything I do is around it. I mean, I do a lot of different things, but all around and connected to it. And one of the things, of course, is composition.
Right.
And composition is composing original also, and composition is arranging, and composition is also sometimes improvising. So there's a lot of things all connected to music.
Right, because one of the things I notice about you is your compositions have a lot of connections to who you are. And some of them came from a lot of Jewish heritage. And some other ones came from very American, a lot of jazz. And also, you know, a lot of times people who are classically trained, improvisation, jazz, and those other styles are not our natural inclinations. I'd love to find out more about how you kind of start to venture into this and your connection with those music that maybe kind of that really is part of your personal story, which I think is very special.
Yes. As a child, I composed little things, songs, and this, but really nothing to write home about. Uh, my father, who was also a composer, an uneducated, a musically uneducated composer, but extremely talented, wrote a beautiful violin concerto uh, that was almost performed by Jascha Heifetz, but that's a whole other story. All these stories, by the way, are in my
Right,
autobiography.
which you know everybody who are already becoming fascinated by Rami, you'll be able to find a link to the book in the description.
Yeah, Jascha Heifetz visited Israel uh, many years ago, maybe 75 or more, and no, no, 70. Twice he visited, and there was an incident. He played something by Richard Strauss, and there was a ban on his music here in Israel, as well as on Wagner's music.
Right, right.
And people attacked him in the street. He didn't get hurt, but he immediately packed and left, and also left behind my father's concerto that the music was given to him. So that's the story about this. Anyway, what I say, my father was writing down in a little notebook my little compositions, because at that young age, maybe I could read music and maybe I could write, but not as organized and as beautiful. My father had this beautiful handwriting in music. And I still have that album till today. I should have actually prepared. You could have shown it here. But anyway, so he copied. I mean, he wrote down some of my things, but it's not anything good or serious. But it was a start. Then I actually abandoned composition because I was concentrating on piano playing, and that takes a lot of time.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Now, so let's take a moment to talk about what does a lot of time mean?
Oh, first of all, practicing. There's no getting away from it. It doesn't come from the air or from you. You have to practice and you have to
Yes.
learn your pieces. And if you are a concert pianist and if you are a soloist, then you got to memorize everything. And we're talking about large repertoire, because you can go on a concert tour with me or one program. People want to have to choose, so you have to go with two or three programs. And then if you play with orchestra, they want to choose two. And if you play with modern orchestra, they don't necessarily choose the same. So going on a tour with three different recital programs and three different concertos takes a long time to prepare and
Yes.
maintain, and that's like one tool. So and when you do the whole, okay, so that's the preparation and the practice and the learning and everything.
Right.
But then comes the promotion. Who's going to know about you? Who's going to invite you if if you don't tell them that you exist? So that's another part that I had to do
Yeah.
all the selling mostly by myself. Uh, and that is all over the world, not just in one
Right.
country.
Let's talk about that for a moment because one of the things about the pandemic that's been interesting is it opened up a lot of communication that wasn't available. Because for myself, for my personal experience, is for the longest time, I didn't have access to the concert buyers unless I went through my manager. And so the whole idea of promotion is a very strange and kind of foreign and but important concept for performing musicians. Can we talk a little bit about your experience and how you approached it and how it worked? And what do you think about what will happen next in this world of concerts?
when I started out, it was a whole different world,
Yeah.
totally different. And I mean, there was no internet for us simple people,
Right, exactly.
and you had to do things by letters.
Hmm.
You write a letter to Mexico. In the best case, it takes a month in each direction. And if they answer, they reply. So you have to start 2 years in advance to try and organize something. Then, when it becomes close and urgent, you use the phone. But at these times, the telephone calls were extremely expensive.
Hmm.
So uh, it was hard, but I still managed to travel all over the world, anywhere, Australia, New Zealand, South America, all South America, Europe, of course, that was nearby, and of course, a lot of the States and Canada. So, but then I had quite a nice career going. I mean, I had constantly, if I work all the time, what else do you want? What else do you need? And I recorded for CBS, that was Columbia Records
Hmm.
in Israel, and then came the internet revolution. So it
Yeah,
changed everything. It made
very
everything
much so.
easier. You could, with one click, connect with family, friends, friends that you forgot you had,
Right, exactly, right. Which
yes,
is how this whole thing came about for me.
and customers and buyers,
Right.
contact managers and stuff like this. So it became easier to actually promote, but then it became easier for everyone. So the competition was still
That's right.
always, as I'm sure you know too. You
Mhm.
know. Oh, by the way, I was floored with your singing. I
Oh,
loved it.
thank you so much. I really would like to sing some of those arrangements you made, and I like to sing in Hebrew. So we'll connect, we'll do more of that. And for those of you who are by now so curious about your playing as far as the concert repertoire, let's listen to Defy Us Fire Dance. And I think everybody would be so thrilled because I was thrilled when I listened to it. So that was wonderful. And, I remember there was a saying by Horowitz, if he didn't practice for a day, he knew.
Oh,
If he didn't practice for 2 days, his wife knew. And if he didn't practice for 3 days, everybody knows. How do you feel if you don't practice for a little period of
well,
time?
Horowitz, Rubinstein, and a lot of the great names, uh, they sometimes said things that sounded very profound, but weren't always the way they were, or even the way they felt.
Right.
But it was a good things to say. Good
Right.
telling.
You remembered it, right?
The thing about practicing every day, I'm a fanatic practicer, but I also know that if you don't practice for one day, nothing happens. Actually, you can't practice every single day when you are on a concert tour. You
Right.
can you sometimes can practice even for 2 whole days. I mean,
Right.
just sitting on the plane to Australia is 2 full days, on plane, on a few planes.
Right.
It's and then arriving, and then it's like traveling to the moon. I don't know. It's new uh, time zones,
Right.
lack of sleep and stuff, and getting used to it, and then practice and give a concert. So okay, maybe you're young, you get used to it, you can do it, but the fact is you don't get to practice every day.
No, I want to kind of take that into a direction that's a little bit different, which is your pedagogy. You started teaching in what we call the adult piano camps. Of course, it's not really camping like just sitting around the fire and have fun. It's really actually intense learning. Can you tell us about a little bit about your teaching philosophy?
Yeah, well, I never heard. There's a lot of things I never heard about before I went online, and before the internet era, and for I started meeting teachers all over the world,
Right.
and so I never heard about something like teaching philosophy. I didn't know what that was. I
Right.
still, but when people talk about all kind of problems with teaching, and so I said, yes, okay, I do have a philosophy. You student, I teacher, or I teacher, you student. And you want to learn, listen and do, and that's all. And I'll tell you what they appreciate the most, besides my teaching them, my knowledge, my passing on the
Right.
information. They appreciate the most my honesty, my directness, and forgot. Okay, that's it. My
That's
age.
okay.
Okay, here I got it.
Yes.
Ah, I treat, and this is what they also appreciate. I treat anyone, and it doesn't matter if it's a professional pianist, teacher, or an amateur. And I treat everyone as if they are the most professional people, and that's the way I teach. I
I agree.
don't give them
Yes.
discounts, and they don't want discounts. So I treat them like this. I don't say, oh, it doesn't matter. You anyway, you're not going to give a concert or something like this in Carnegie also. No, they like my approach. And
I think so. You know,
said elsewhere, yeah, they come out inspired.
so I know there was a very painful life experience you've had, and it's about your son.
Well, unfortunately, I've experienced various unpleasant tragedies. Another one pretty recently too, but the main one was the passing of our son at age 15. Uh, that was in 1986. Our older son, he was a talented boy, good looking. He played the clarinet, and he had the flu, and for 1 week, and that killed him. After that, you have to make a choice. You either gonna go with the dead, or you're gonna go with the living.
Mm-hmm.
And the choice was to go with the living, and cool everyone with me, and
Right.
members of the family, my parents, etc.
Right. And I know during that time, I think being musicians, what we do is to connect with what's closest to us, which you had rearranged a piece, composed a piece of music. That is,
Yes,
would you introduce the music? That's the etude.
yes, but that wasn't the immediate thing. First of all, I was scheduled to go on a concert tour. I
Right.
went on a concert tour, a long tour, like 2-3 months, and I took the rest of my family with me so we could be together, and
Right.
we traveled for concerts all over. Then at some point, I wrote this a little piece and dedicated it to my late son, the Vocalise etude on the Prelude #1 by Bach.
Mm-hmm.
It, it's an etude because you get to play the entire Prelude in the left hand alone. So Bach is in the left hand, and my composition is in the right hand.
So let's listen to it. sharing that piece with us.
Well, I lived a lot in America,
Right.
and I love American music, especially ragtime
Hmm.
and Gershwin
Of course.
used blues as his language of music, and that influenced me a lot. So I wrote things that sound a little like blues and sound like ragtime.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, my background is very classical music, of course.
Right.
So everything I write, doesn't matter, it has a sort of a classical flavor.
Hmm.
And my influence is also Jewish music,
Right.
Israeli music, Eastern, Middle Eastern sounds that
Mm.
go into my music, and all the rest of the composers. So it's a mixture, but mainly, you see, the piece we just heard, the Vocalise,
Hmm.
H is in none of the two categories of my music. Well, it got a hint. It does have a hint of jazzy sounds, but mainly my music is either Israeli Jewish
Hmm.
or uh, ragtime American. Among the my Israeli Jewish music is of course the seven songs, the song cycle dedicated to the Holocaust, uh, lyrics written by a Holocaust survivor, and it was performed all over the world and recorded and by many singers. And I also wrote it with orchestra accompaniment, so that's there too. Uh, so it is also another angle of my composition.
Now, we will close this program by listening to the Blue Rag. Thank you, Rami Bar-Niv, for
Oh, my
joining
pleasure.
us. And so we'll close with this beautiful piece of music.
Okay, thanks very much.